What is up, guys? It is Joe. We're back. We're talking ball about the Cats, and in today's video, we are talking about K-State basketball. After an interesting stretch of 2 games, it's been a wild 48 hours for Kansas State basketball. Today specifically, I guess yesterday if you're watching this on the right day here, but yesterday afternoon you saw K-State basketball get a much-needed win with some impressive play from Coleman Hawkins. The revival of Coleman Hawkins is back on. K-State beats the Longwood Lancers 80-64 in this contest. You had Coleman Hawkins leading the way with damn near a triple-double, to be perfectly honest with you. But there was a lot of good things to talk about. There's also some bad things you've seen in the past game. But I want to kind of talk about where I feel, or how I feel about Kansas State basketball for the moment, because believe me, there's been a lot to ingest the last 2 days. But before I do get into my thoughts here today, let me remind you, be sure and hit that subscribe button. It does help out immensely. It is the best way to help support this channel as we continue to grow. And at 3,000 subs, I'm getting a cat script tattoo on the left thigh. K-State football may not want to switch up the alternates. Your boy's going to get the cat script because that's the best logo we have. Maybe that's biased, but I like the cat script a lot. I'm going to get that on the left thigh. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see that get done. But tonight's game was massive for Coleman Hawkins. And I'm not even going to sit here and say that, I was super duper pissed off at him for not playing up to his potential. Or I was one of the people saying, well, Coleman Hawkins stinks at basketball. I think everybody and their brother knew it was going to take a little bit. The guy was off all summer from basketball. He also started slow last season at Illinois when he was fully conditioned. And I don't think this is something to sit here and say, well, where's this coming from? This is pretty common for Coleman Hawkins. That's just the way his career has gone over the last couple of years. It's been a slow start, get back into things, and then hit the ground running. I think it's probably because he transfers and is getting paid as much money as he is, allegedly. But the thing is, you understand that there's an immediate, standard you have to keep up to if you want to earn your money or if you want the fan base to be satisfied, whatever the case is. Coleman Hawkins was incredible tonight. The confidence was back. The outside shot was back. The dude wasn't thinking about what to do. He was just playing the game of basketball. That's how this team wins games, not just through Coleman Hawkins, but everybody on the court. When you have to think about what you're doing constantly, you're not going to be a good basketball player. It's just the way it goes. It's so important to understand the system you're running, offense, defense, whatever the case is, and then also have the free will to say, okay, I feel good about this. Coleman Hawkins, that beautiful kick he had to a short, screaming down the lane for a massive jam. Those are the moments you love to see from Coleman Hawkins. Also, NBA threes in transition, stepping up to the top of the key from 42 feet out and splashing it dead bottom of the net. That's the stuff you see from Coleman Hawkins at Illinois. You're going to see even more of that this season. I fully feel like this is the moment where, you saw it a little bit in that second half. Even though you lost to Liberty, you still saw some spark. You saw Coleman Hawkins, shot hunting, being creative, and you like what you saw there. But I also understand that there's fans that have been a little bit on the fence about it, saying, well, we overpaid. Well, we did this. Well, we should have, XYZ thing, whether it's Coach Tang's fault, Coleman's fault, Doug McDaniel. Everybody's gotten the blame at some point this season, and that's understandable. I get it. One win over Longwood doesn't mean I feel like we're going to win the national championship, but you at least saw some really good things in this game that you should feel better about as a K-State fan. As a quick thought, let me read his stat line for tonight. It was 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. 7 of 10 from the floor, 5 of 7 from three-point land. The dude was all over the court, and they started sending doubles towards him at the end of the day just to get the ball out of his hands. That's how you know you're a decisive decision maker. You had Brendan Hausum with 16 points, 4 rebounds, 6 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from three-point range. He had a lot of nice mismatch moments against, I don't know the kid's name, McClure, something like that. Is the white kid for Longwood, but he was cooking him. He was cooking him barbecue chicken in the mid-range. Anything you saw with Brendan Hausum, he was there. You had Doug McDaniel controlling the basketball, doing his thing, 11 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. And David Gasson being David Gasson with 10 and 4 on the day. But it was just an all-around good performance. K-State shoots 58.9% as a team from the field, 55% from 3. That won't always happen. I'm not going to sit here and say it will, but you really like what you saw today. 33 made shots on 15 assists from the field. There's some good stuff going on at Kansas State basketball. It just takes a little bit of time, but I thought the way that Coleman Hawkins addressed this after the game was the perfect way to say, hey, I'm here for you guys. I'm working for you guys. I don't want it to be a situation where I'm some scrub on the court. I want to win for you guys. I want to win for myself. Coleman Hawkins apologized to the fan base, and I'll expand on this a little bit more, but apologized to the fan base, apologized to the staff in the post-game interview, and he said, I feel like I've been overthinking a lot of things throughout the season so far. Tonight, I just felt like I played like myself. I played like the player I was last year, and I apologized to our fan base because I've just been overthinking things and didn't know what to do on the court. I'm starting to figure things out now, and I think the change of scenery helped too. It's a real beautiful island out here, and I think it helped me to clear my mind that I got to see some family. It was a fun night all around the night. He ended up being named to the Paradise Jam All-Tournament team. I know they didn't get the job done, but 13 points a game, 8 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 2 steals, 1.7 blocks per game, and that's good for tournament team in the tourney. But you got to understand, 2 things. One, I've heard the thing that the fact that he even has to apologize is an indictment on the fan base. I don't think it's that. I truly think this is just Coleman Hawkins. Coleman would have apologized even if nobody was sitting if everybody and their brother was saying give him time, I still think Coleman would have come out here and said this. He's just a dude that wants to play up to his full potential, wants to be an NBA player. He wants to show that. And I'm sure that he let himself down a little bit rather than just the fan base. But overall, he said that, and I was like, dude, I'm right back on your side. There's no beef. There's no issue. This is you taking time to get adjusted. And I think the last sentence he said there of like, the change of scenery helped. When you're making as much money as Coleman is, whether it's the number that's been reported or not, when you're making a ton of money, there's an immediate pressure. You spent 4 years at a program where you built your reputation. This is one where the main thing that the fan base knows about you is you're the crown jewel of the portal. You're the guy that's going to lead this team. So when you come out and you average, 8 points, 5 boards, it's not going to be enough for, fan bases saying we got to make the NCAA tournament. Coleman Hawkins nailed the response. I thought it was just a real response. Like, it was genuine, and I think it got a lot of people back on his side. I think it's going to be an upward trend from here for both the coaching staff and Coleman. And honestly, I can shift a lot of that to the coaching staff as well. Not saying they were doing bad or anything, but the point of what I'm seeing is like, I don't think they quite understood how Coleman wanted to play with this team yet. And I don't think Coleman knew either. So that's why he's saying, like, I didn't know what I was doing on the court yet. I think a little bit he's trying to play like Keontae Johnson to start the year off, trying to be assertive, trying to be the 4 that takes over the game and scores and does this and this. You just need to play your brand of basketball. It doesn't matter necessarily what it looks like. As long as you get the job done, that's what you need to do. And he did that the other night. So I feel really good about where Coleman Hawkins is at. I still think it could take him a little bit of time to get adjusted in front of a home crowd, but I do like where he's at. I like the headspace he's in. I think him just being like, dude, I just got to play basketball. I don't have to worry about this, and that. Let me play the game of basketball. So Coleman took a lot of big steps, as well as a veteran leader thing. Coach Tang said after the game that it's good to see players stepping up and leading. He hasn't had that much this season. That's why you've seen some of the stuff off the court. Like, I don't know if it was a leadership thing with Doug or not, but you need your stars to be stars and coach like stars. Like, think about that. You need Coleman Hawkins and Doug McDaniel to be an extension of the coaching staff. And I think one moment you saw it was kind of a lost in translation moment. When the guy trying to convert the N1 for Longwood went to the bench, he was hurt. The other coach, by rule, gets to choose which on the court is the guy you want to shoot. Coach Tank chose one guy, looked around, talked to his assistants, blah, blah, blah. Coleman looked at him and said, we need to make sure we're at the right guy at the line. Went to talk to the ref saying, hey, 34 might not be the right guy. Let's get this, this, and this. And took the time to double check that and be on his own like, hey, this is what we need to do. When you have guys that are not just like, I don't want to make it sound like they're questioning Coach Tank or questioning authority, but when you have guys that want to step up and let their opinion be known, that's where you get this leadership from. So overall, I feel like there's leaders on this team that are still trying to step up. I'm not saying it's going to be all sunshines and rainbows constantly, but this was a great step in the right direction. Whether it's, a completely fix-all situation, I don't think it is yet. But you see the vision. You can see the seeds being planted every single day. And you think back to this. I thought Derek Young had a good tweet about this, talking about it. He said, when you have a game from Doug McDaniel like he had against George Washington, Doug was the X factor. That was the Doug McDaniel game. This game is the Coleman Hawkins game. I'm sure at some point in the next couple of days we'll have an Chore type game. We've had a couple of David Gasson games. When you can get these dudes firing on the same front as a team. Brendan Hausen looked incredible tonight, but he's also had performances where he goes 3 of 15 from the field. When you get these guys firing on all cylinders, up to speed, playing like one team, that's going to be a dangerous squad. You see the talent they have, and I'm not saying it's going to be quick, but I think the idea is that Coach Tank did recruit the right guys. They have the right guys there. How do we mold this to a team? How do we get the guys in the right spot? And I think that's the big question. And honestly, that was a little bit of it last year. Like, how do we get Arthur Kaluma, Tyler Perry, and Cam Carter all at the same time on the same page? You never really did. How is this team going to be different? That's the question that the coaching staff is dealing with now. It's what Coleman's dealing with, Doug McDaniel's dealing with, all these guys are dealing with. How do we fit our roles? Once that's established, once that's figured out, I would say at least a little bit more ironed out, that's where you're going to start to hit the ground running. So huge night from Coleman Hawkins. Doug McDaniel did his thing. When these two are at their highest level, this team can beat anybody in the country. When they're not at their highest level and at their lowest level, they're struggling, this team could also lose to about anybody in the country. So, and that's not to be harsh to the staff. It's not to be harsh to the team. I think that they would openly admit that. Hey, when we play down to people, we can lose to anybody. But they also know, like, hey, the ceiling we have established is massively high. So where are we going to be at each night? That's the question. But tonight you got a good version of Kansas State. Still things to improve on, as always, but you like what you saw. Another guy that I liked what I saw from, how about Buddy Rich, man? Buddy has continued to work, and I know that the minutes haven't always been there for Buddy, or the conditioning hasn't been there for Buddy. He's showing up and having an impact. And I think tonight, it kind of clicked for me, and I think it probably clicked for Buddy a little bit too, because he was defending good, he was playing good on offense, but why haven't we run a one-on-one situation with Buddy and just let him post a dude up? He's the strongest player in college basketball. He also happens to be incredible at finishing around the rim. That's all he did in high school. The guy could not be guarded in one-on-one situations because of how physically imposing he is. My theory, and I don't think it'll be this out the gate, I think you're going to have a lot of stuff. Line Buddy out there in an ISO situation, one-on-one, have somebody create a ball screen for him, kick it to Buddy, have a size mismatch, whatever. Buddy can back down anybody. He's either going to hit the layup. If he misses, you're probably going to draw a foul. Buddy is too big, too strong, too fast to just sit back and let him say, you know what, I can handle this guy one-on-one. I think there might be 5 dudes in the country that are strong enough to go up against Buddy Rich in the post like that. It's a good thing to have to get some quick fouls out of the way, and you see another way the offense can maneuver where guys are clearing out, getting over there to help out Buddy. So tonight you saw that, and I hadn't seen that in weeks past, so good things for Buddy Rich happening on the court. And honestly, if you get 3 or 4 fouls early, Buddy gets fouls drawn against. That's going to help you out in the long run getting to the free throw line, and Buddy's a good free throw shooter too. So you see some different things like that you're encouraged about, but it's always a process. We'll see what happens. K-State, I believe, returns to basketball on Sunday. They play Arkansas Pine Bluff Sunday, December 1st in Bramlage at 1 o'clock p.m. It'll be fun to see what the fan base looks like. I think the guys are back on. I don't know if everybody is, but it feels good to see what Kansas State's going to do. And it's right before a massive game against a damn near top 25 team in St. John's. But overall, guys, for today's video, that's going to do it. I feel better about where we're at. I'm not 110% sold. I know there's going to be issues that work itself out, but we're going to have to get there fast because St. John's is coming, Drake's coming. There's some good teams on the schedule. Wichita State looks good. There's going to be work involved, and I feel like we're approaching the right spot. So tonight's a good step in the right direction. Let's continue that against Arkansas Pine Bluff. But that's going to do it, guys. I'm going to have a ton of videos this week. We've got a lot of football stuff. We got tiebreaker situations, commitment stuff. We've got a lot to talk about, and I plan to do that. So be sure and be on the lookout each day this week. Unless something goes crazy wrong, you'll have a daily video just about every day. But folks, that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you here a little bit more about that Thursday. But have a great rest of the week, and I will talk to you soon. Go Cats.